Welcome to Mortgage on My Mind, where we take the mystery out of mortgages and make dreams of home ownership a reality. I'm Natalie Salins, a top 1% mortgage broker with 20 years of experience, based right here in sunny Los Angeles. If you've ever wondered about pre-approvals, appraisals, or what loan product is right for you, don't worry, I've got Mortgage on My Mind, so you don't have to. Each week, I'll bring you expert advice, real-life stories, and insider tips to help you navigate California's competitive real estate market with confidence. Whether you're buying your first home, refinancing, or just curious about how it all works, this podcast is for you. So let's talk mortgages, demystify the process, and make your real estate goals a reality. Ready to get started? Let's dive in. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Mortgage on My Mind. This is Natalie, your host. And today we have Cory Boldroff. He is a certified real estate planner and agent based in Southern California, over 2 decades of industry experience. He specializes in 1031 exchange, DSTs, which are Delaware Statutory Trusts, and trust and probate transactions. He helps clients navigate complex situations to build, protect, and transfer generational wealth. Welcome, Cory. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. Excited.
Absolutely. Yes. I would love to start the conversation by something you mentioned about the fact that everybody should be taking their title in the name of a trust.
Yeah, I think it should be law.
And you think it should be law?
I do. I think it should be law because I can't think of a reason why someone would not want to have their house into a trust. It protects you when you're alive, it protects you when you're passing. And I think the government doesn't want us to do it because probate is the last time they can steal from us. Conservatorship is the second to last time they can steal from us. And they want to control us. If we put our house into a trust, we'll close escrow, put the house into a trust. Now we're in full control of that asset, of how we disperse it, how we're going to transfer it, how we're going to hold it. It does.
And why?
Go ahead.
So tell me, why is that? Why does a trust change the rights of somebody when it comes to them passing probate, all of that?
Yeah, so in most states, there's a threshold of what the asset needs to stay under in order to stay away from probate. So I'm here in California. Most properties are worth over $100,000. So if I have right now, me and my wife, we're not legally married. I would hold it joint tenants in common, or maybe hold it in tenants in common. We own our percentages. God forbid I was driving down the road, I get hit. Let's just say I become mentally incapacitated. She does not have the right to sell my percentage of the property. So if she needs money to keep me alive, she can't do. If I end up passing away, my portion will end up going to probate. It could take in California 2 to 3 years to go through probate. She's going to have to afford all the payments, all the property taxes, all the upkeep of the property. And God forbid if she can make it through there, then they'll probate it, which will cost her $30,000 to maybe $100,000 in lawyer fees, court.
Even if you're not passed, it has to go through probate?
It can go through probate if you're in conservatorship or divorce. But in this situation, I was saying I eventually passed.
Oh, you did? Okay, got
So
it.
you would go in conservatorship, and she could file for conservatorship and say, hey, judge, we own this house together. He became mentally incapacitated. We need to be able to sell the property so that he can afford medical costs. It'll have to go through probate, which could cost $16,000 to $20,000, could take 3 to 6 months. If she doesn't have access to my bank accounts, or if we didn't have just sitting assets, how is she going to afford the level of care that I need? So I'm either not going to get the level of care that I need, or I'm going to drive ourselves in debt. So now I'm alive, going to drive the family in debt. The whole 7 kids is going to have a hard time dealing with dad passing away or not being able to talk to him, as well as not being able to afford food on the table. So if it was into a trust, it allows that trust to say, hey, you know what? We need to sell in the benefits of this, because in a real good estate plan, you'll have a medical directive, you'll have a financial directive that says, hey, if I become mentally incapacitated, then this person has the right to sell my property or get a loan on my behalf on the property so they can pay for medical costs, or they can pay for the payments or things like that. So a trust will help with that. Also, when you pass, then I actually have it already predetermined who's going to inherit my property. how they're going to inherit the property, what needs to happen with the property. So people that like control will be in full control of what happens with their assets. So it gives you written instructions about what happens. So it, to me, it only makes sense to put the house into a trust. It's one of, yeah,
Couple
yeah,
questions.
go ahead.
So could your wife, God forbid you pass, you get in an accident and pass, and you guys took title in tenants in common or joint in common? Because if you take it as joint tenants, then she has legal rights over the whole property.
And we technically have to be married for joint tenants and thing, but joint tenants
Yeah.
with right of survivorship doesn't give you full, it wouldn't give you the step up in cost basis for my share of it. So when she went to go sell it, she would pay a higher portion in capital gain taxes from the time I pass to the time she sells it.
From your, yeah. Oh, wait, what was my question? Oh, if you were to pass and you
Right.
guys in tenants in common, let's say, which is just for everybody listening, there's different ways you can take title, right? So if you take title in tenants in common, normally it means that the person, if there are two people on title, each one of them has a specific percentage of ownership in the property. That there's all different ways to take title. There's joint tenants, which is how me and my partner have title. And if one of us passes, the other one immediately gets the entire 100%. So my portion goes immediately to them, right? But if you were to pass, let's say, could your wife then put it in a trust, or she wouldn't be
No.
allowed?
Once I become mentally incapacitated, or if
She
I'm
can't
not,
change title?
or if I'm physically incapacitated, I can't sign the signature, you'd have to go to court to get it added or changed or amended. So that's why you want to have this done at an early age. I can even give an example of I have a 21-year-old son. He's in college. He's already started to build his estate plan, which includes a HIPAA release, a power of attorney, a medical directive, and a financial directive. So if he was to go and get drunk and pass out and go to the hospital, I now have the right to look at his medical records. I have now the right to make his medical decisions. If I didn't have those things, I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't just be granted it because I'm his father. Once
Right.
he turns 18, I don't have those parental rights. So that's also, it's like start protecting yourself. And I dealt with one where there was a lady, she was 90 years old. She had a tenants in common with her parents and her sister. Parents died in 1965. Her sister died in 2004. They were never probated off of title. So when she
Mm,
was rushed to the hospital, went to a skilled nursing facility, she couldn't even access her $1 million property that was owned out totally outright. She couldn't access any of those funds because it hadn't been probated yet. So we had to go through and jump through hoops to get her to the court to allow us to sell the property. And really, when we finally got authorization to sell the property, she still had to keep 2/3 of the proceeds into a special probate trust account and tell us that she was actually allowed to legally probate them off. And unfortunately, she passed away before that even happened. So
mm,
it caused a huge thing. So I just
right.
tell people is like, do it now rather than later. You can always,
Yeah.
if it's a living revocable trust, you can always do it. And for everyone that knows, I don't make a single penny. I don't do trusts. I don't
Right.
establish trusts. I don't get
Right.
compensated from estate plan attorneys. But I'm telling you, every single
Just
person
good
that I do,
advice.
and if you do a deal with me and you buy a house, I will actually pay for you to get an estate plan because I think it's that important.
Great. So if you, let's say you leave a property to your child, they inherit it and it's left to them through the trust. So the trust directs that property to be inherited by your son, let's say. Do they pay anything after you pass in inheriting the property? Do they have to
No,
owe taxes on it? Anything?
that's the beauty of it is
That just sounds too easy, right?
it would
Like,
avoid probate, so you don't pay anything in probate taxes. You get the step up in cost basis as the way the law sits right now, so you don't pay any capital gain taxes behind you. So if I bought it for $100,000 and it's worth $1 million when I pass, the kids are going to hear it at $1 million cost basis, so they pay no capital gain taxes behind them. Now, if they want to sell it on day one, they can make the whole million or $900,000 in gain tax free, which is what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep the wealth in our families. Because
right,
I'm going to tell you, if anyone's going to misspend or misuse my money, it's going to be me and my family, not the government. I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're a Republican. They both misspend and misuse our money, and let's keep it inside the family. And that's why, again, they don't educate us in high school and in college on this, is because they want us to not know. so that we just think that we have to pay these taxes.
Exactly. Wow. Because it does sound like it just sounds so obvious and too easy, especially when you are passing along property. You would think that even if it's in a trust or protected even by LLC or whatever, if you give it to someone, if they inherit it, they would still have to pay some sort of taxes if they aren't on time.
Yeah. As of right now, it's a beauty. The step up in cost basis is one of the few ways that you can truly eliminate capital gain taxes. There's 14 strategies to minimize and hopefully eliminate one day, but the true way to eliminate it, as of right now, is to pass away, and then your beneficiaries will get the step up cost basis. If it's in a trust, it avoids probate as well. And that's that's what we help families do, is that's the part of the transferring the wealth. And then we want it capital gain tax free, but we also want it dispute free, because 90% of inheritance, whether it's in a trust or not, is caused by real estate, because you can't divide real estate. So I always say, have your legacy plan, have your transfer plan already in place so that your kids don't have to argue about anything. It's already divided before you pass. So it's one of the things that we really look at.
And then question, let's say you, and I know you're not a trust lawyer or anything, but if you were to not pass, but you were to add a child to your trust documents, so now they own part of the trust as well. Does that make any difference in how property is distributed or not? If you pass and they're still part of the trust, like they own part of the trust, their name's on the trust?
Generally speaking, again, I'm not an estate plan attorney, but generally speaking, you have your trustor and your trustee, and it's usually the same person. So I'm the trustor, and I'm giving and granting permission to the trustee, me, to hold our assets, or this entity to overlook our assets. And then there's a beneficiary, which is me when I'm alive, but my beneficiaries are named in succession, and my successor trustees is named in succession to say, these are the ones that I want to inherit my trust. So you wouldn't necessarily name your kid as a grantor or a grantee, but you would actually have them as your beneficiary. And those can change, and you can
Sure,
percentage
totally.
them out and stuff like that. So that's generally how people do that. There are things called dynasty trusts. It's like how the Rockefellers have stayed one of the wealthiest families in the history of our country, is because they have a waterfall technique that any person that's part of their dynasty trust has to get life insurance right when they're born, and just keep overfilling that life insurance. So when they pass, it goes to the dynasty trust. And now I have 7 kids. My wealth is going to get depleted in 7 different ways. They all have life insurance. So when they pass, it's actually going to fill the trust even more than what I ever could do as a single person.
Oh, interesting. I've
Yeah.
never heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those, because true generational wealth in this country statistically only lasts 2 generations. And it's because of that. If you have a mom and dad, they make $10 million, they have 4 kids, that's $2.5 million per kid.
Right.
They don't do a good job with it, or they misspend it, misuse it, or even if they don't, they've depleted the wealth by 1/4%. So if they can refill that times 4, now those kids have kids. Now you have 8 people, now you have 16 people. Eventually you'll have 100 people all filling in this dynasty trust, and it makes it a lot easier to build wealth, reinvest that money and things like that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about DSTs, which is Delaware Statutory Trusts, and why the name Delaware?
So Delaware Statutory Trust it was just one of the first states that they established this. So it was really
Okay.
the people who originated it was a group of teachers who they all got together, and they were tired of getting their retirement and their pensions, seeing it get depleted, or having to hope that it's still going to be there when they retire. So what they
Okay.
said is, hey, what if we start putting funds together, and we'll start investing into real estate together, because real estate's one of the best investments you can have. Then they started going, wait, we're buying these investments and we're not taking any of the proceeds. Why are we taxed each time we do? So they went to the government and lobbied from 1986 to finally 2004, and they finally got it approved, as a Delaware statute trust is considered a like-kind property. So when you do a 1031 exchange, you're buying an investment property to another investment property. It doesn't have to be
Like for
house to
like.
house or commercial to commercial, just as long as investment to investment. They said, okay, if you sell your 10-unit apartment complex and you 1031 into a DST, that'll allow you to not pay capital gain taxes at that moment. So a DST If you've heard of a REIT, it's or even tenants in common, it's a way to buy property like
And
yeah, go
let's
ahead.
explain to the audience what is a REIT,
A, a
REIT.
real estate investment trust. So you're basically getting together with a group of people to all invest into this real estate investment trust to go buy real estate as an investment purpose. And they basically have voting rights, you do different things, and you're having to all manage the property together. And a lot of
You
people end up,
own a piece
yeah,
of
you own a piece of
a
it, you all
company that
manage it
owns real estate.
together, you vote
Right.
on it together. And a lot of people go, this is just too much of a headache because if you don't like all the people in there, if you don't agree with all the people in there, you end up fighting over it. A DST is done differently. It's where basically a sponsor, a big entity, goes in and says, I'm going to buy an Amazon building for $200 million. I'm going to wrap the title around in a Delaware Statutory Trust, and then I'm going to go look for the Corys and the Natalies and the Steves of the bunch to go and say, hey, would you guys want to invest into my Delaware Statutory Trust? And I'll give you a percentage, I'll make you a beneficiary, percentage owner of this DST. So
Mhm.
now you have no managing rights. You're not going to manage the property. You're not going to be the landlord. You're not going to worry about taxes. You're not going to worry about tenants or trash or any of that stuff. You're basically going to get a mailbox money, usually 4 to 6%. Some can be lower, some can be higher. Nothing's guaranteed, but you just get mailbox money. So who it's ideal for is, and that's kind of like our one of our specialties is like you're 72 years old, you've and have 3, 5, 10 investment properties, and you're just done being a landlord. Most vacant homes are owned by people over the age of 72 because they're just done being a landlord. They don't want to have to worry about California crazy laws or tenants destroying the property or a tenant moving out and then you have to reinvest your profits back into the property. So this is a way to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to sell the property. I'm going to do 1031 to the DST, not have to pay any capital gain taxes, so I need to keep my wealth. It stays in this DST until they decide to sell it, which generally speaking, they'll buy an Amazon building because Amazon doesn't actually like to own their real estate. It's interesting. They would rather reemploy their profits into manufacturing, owning businesses, and the logistics of how do you get a product that you ordered 2 hours ago at your doorstep. That's what Amazon likes to do. So a company will own the building and then they'll kind of keep the building up or invest in the building, and then it'll be incrementally go up a little bit. Or if nothing else, the owners are going to make the $240,000 in monthly rent, and that's going to be divided percentage wise to those investors. When it sells, then the owner of the DST, I'm a part owner of it, they'll say, do you want to go into our UPREIT, which will hold this Amazon building if we think it's a great investment? Or we're going to sell it. There's not going to be an UPREIT. You have the opportunity to sell it, pay your taxes at that point in time, or go back into active real estate, or go back into another DST. So it gives you the options. The coolest part about this, it is a great transfer tool and strategy because we're going back to the step up in cost basis. The DST allows you to get the step up in cost basis. The best part about it is if I own a 10-unit apartment building and I'm going to leave it to my 7 kids, all 7 kids ultimately have to agree on what to do with the property, or they could force the sale or force something to happen. This actually is percentage owned. So I can say, okay, guys, we're going to own this DST and I'm a 3% owner. I'm going to give you a 1/4%, you a 1/4%, you a 1/4%. Everyone gets their own 1/4%. Now, when the DST sells, they can say, oh, I want to go back into real estate. I want to take my money and leave. So you don't have, just not relying on them all agreeing on what they want to do. They can each independently decide what they want to do. So if you have lots of beneficiaries, or even just a couple, more than one, a DST could be a great program to transfer your wealth towards end of life.
So who's in charge of running the DST?
The DST sponsor. There's one called Inland. It's one of the biggest in our country. They're actually the founders of the DST. So
Mhm.
they will go in, they do all their homework and say, okay, there's a senior living community. We want to buy the building. So we're going to go buy the building. So they put all the money up front, and then we're going to raise usually 40, 50, 60, 70% of that through investors. So it also allows people, let's say I have a 1031 exchange, I invested 40% of my money. Now I need another 60% to put somewhere. So I need a 60% LTV product to go put into, they'll have different options for you. They're a professional manager. It's not like the U's and I's or even the people that go and manage an apartment building. These are professional property managers that are used to dealing with the big things.
They're the ones who write your monthly check off any income based
Yep.
concern.
Yep. They write your check. They give you your tax forms at the end of the year. Literally, it's
easy, but it's you earn very
you
little.
know,
So it's
you're
really,
what I say for you
it's
is
like
like
3 or 4%, right?
it's four to generally speaking, it's like about a 4 to 6% cap rate, which if most investors truly understood how to do cap rate percentages, in California, you're lucky if you touch 4%. And a lot of these,
But you're earning appreciation of
you
about
are earning appreciation.
7 to 10% a year.
Yes, you are earning the
Where
appreciation,
you're
and you're
not
not going to
doing
earn
that
that.
on
You're
this.
not going to earn that same percentage with an Amazon
Yeah.
building because it's not going to go up by 7 to 10%. Could it? Maybe, but most likely it's just going to hold its value and maybe go
Yeah.
up a little bit. Now there
It's
are
just more about working less. Do
yes.
you know what I mean?
So
Having
it's
less of the
simplifying.
responsibility,
And that's why I think again,
less
it's for the
earnings.
people that have built their wealth. Now they want to protect it and look to how to transfer it in a better way. Now me and you can go to the government, say we want to be a sponsor of a DST, go get a bunch of lawyers, and we can go and say, hey, we're going to go invest into apartment complexes near universities, and we're going to turn this into student housing. Now, there could be a play, an appreciation play there. There could be. So there are, and again, there are DSTs that do that.
Mm.
I personally usually, when we have DST advisors, they're financial planners. You have to be licensed to broker these. A sponsor
Sure.
can't sell them directly. I can't sell them. But I usually have DST advisors that go, you know what? We're looking for safe products, but let them know there are these type of products. Because some people, when they're 72, they haven't made all the wealth they want to have, but they're just done being a landlord. Here's a way to do it. So yeah, again, for the right person, right situation, I think they're ingenious products. I think they're well-needed products. The problem is most people don't know about them because you have to be a financial planner to be able to, again, sell them. And the sponsors not allowed to sell them directly, and no one's allowed to market without knowing that it's an accredited investor. So that's where loan officers and real estate agents come in play. We can let anybody know about these products. Not they don't have to be an accredited investor that we're letting them know about it. And then we can go to the DST advisor and see if they actually would qualify to be an accredited investor to actually do the product. So we can get this product known to a lot more people than the actual sponsors and the DST advisors can.
Yeah. It's an interesting, I mean, I was doing the numbers I have a friend who is tired of owning his real estate and he doesn't have too much, but he has 2 properties that are great and they earn money. They make him 8 to 10% a year, which is huge in LA.
Yeah, with appreciation.
Cash flow plus appreciation on top of it,
Oh,
right?
okay. That's a good investment.
Oh yeah, no, monthly, that's what
Yeah.
he's earning. And or yearly, that's what he's earning in cash flow. Then he also makes appreciation on top of
Yeah.
it. It's excellent. It's 2 4 units. They both make him good money. But he's done. He's done. Even though he has a manager managing it, I'm like, what do you mean? You're not changing a toilet at 2 in the morning. You're like, all you're doing is you own it and you receive the checks every month. But he really doesn't want the responsibility of owning it even. And we have the same financial advisor. And my financial advisor said to him, you should get into one of these DSTs. And we went through the numbers together, and I was like, listen, honey, I don't see the positive of, yes, you take a 1031 exchange, you don't pay taxes on it, you get to earn all of the appreciation you've made, which is huge because he's owned these properties now for 10 years. And in LA, they each have $1 million in
Yeah.
equity in them, right? But he would be then, because he's young, he's like 55, he would be turning it over, making much, much less, and then he loses the ability to
Appreciation.
continue to earn that type of appreciation. I was like, if you even think you're going to live 10 more years, you have a small chance of earning another million collectively between the
Right.
two. That's never going to happen for you on a DS, you
So
know?
I wonder what his pain point is as far as he just doesn't want the responsibility. He could sell it, do seller financing, make almost probably more money, maybe the same amount of money, not have the liability, not have the responsibility, and still have a tax reduction. If he's ever interested in that, let me know. I'll propose that to him any day with an 8% cap rate. Or maybe he just needs a product that he generally in California, it's probably a 30 to 40 to 50-year-old property. So he's also probably looking as like,
Yes, please.
I know I'm gonna have to redo the roof. I know he sees what's coming. So maybe 1031 into brand new houses in Memphis, Tennessee, where it has a better appreciation than San Diego, a better cap rate than California. And he knows at least for the next 10, 15 years, he's not going to have to put a lot of capital improvements. That might be an option for him.
I told him if he really doesn't want to have tenants in that way, that maybe to sell it and do a triple net, like
Yeah,
sell
triple net.
both and
Or
buy a triple net. That's
yeah,
a true passive income,
yeah.
still being the owner of a property.
Or
First
storage
year,
units. Storage units would be another good one. He could do that, and that could be really low. Just get a really good operator in there. Car
and
washes, those different things could be good.
oh, interesting. And car washes you just buy
Yeah, you
outright.
have the coin-based operators. You get an operator to run the actual business, but you just own
Sure.
the actual car.
The
You just
actual
own
structure
a
and stuff.
percentage of the business and go give a hungry 30-year-old, I call him a kid, but a 30-year-old kid that says, I want to own a business. And
Yeah,
now you can help that kid get some business and have some long-term play of, hey, I get to own this business outright. And every year I run it well, I get an extra percent of equity. Something
right.
like that. Just get creative. The sad part is there's so many businesses owned by seniors that are just going to be let go. And to me, if seniors would just look at it and be like, here's an opportunity to make money, but
Yeah,
also help the next generation really learn how to run a business and own a business and the risks of it, and then keep the government off of our money. But I say all that, but
yeah.
we're 30 something trillion dollars in debt. The government's going to figure a way to steal
Make money off us. Yeah, of course.
and steal the $84 trillion in wealth that the seniors have. So
Yeah,
they're going to figure out how to get, because that's the only way we're going to get out of debt is if they steal half of that money from seniors. So I'm educated as much as I possibly can because that's what I don't want to happen. They earned it. They worked hard.
I'm kidding. Yeah,
They took the risks, and they did so with the next generation in mind. And I think the people in my generation and younger is all about what's in it for me and why don't I have what it's. They went through the Great Depression. They went through World War
totally.
One, two,
Take
and
your
three.
time.
Like
Yeah,
they went through so much, and that's why they got what they have. You guys want to be given, and you haven't really gone through anything. I guess COVID could be something that you went through, but other than that, you really haven't gone through anything.
yeah.
So go through something. But yeah,
It's true. You have to go through something to come out the other end stronger.
yeah,
It does
100%.
feel like there's a, yeah, I'm not going to get into it. No,
I hear
no,
you. I hear you.
no, no. Anyway, this was so great. Thank you so much. I learned so much. I really appreciate your time. Everybody listening or watching, you can find Cory on his website, The Complete Real Estate Group. He has Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. Please look him up. He's a wealth of knowledge. I am like so grateful that you were able to come on and teach us so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And an
Yeah.
interesting fact about me, I'm the only Cory Boldroff in the world. So all you got to do is
Okay.
Google me, and I'm the only one that will show up. That's why my reputation is everything. I can't hide behind, oh, that must be the other. No, there's only one of me in the
There's
world.
just
So
you. I love it.
yeah.
Beautiful.
All right.
All
Thank
right.
you
Well,
so much. I
thanks so
appreciate
much,
you.
Cory. It was such a pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Mortgage on My Mind. If you're ready to start your mortgage journey or have any questions, I'd love to help. With 20 years of experience, I make the process as simple and stress-free as possible. Check the show notes for my contact info, and don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast. Until next time, I'm Natalie Salins, here to help make your real estate dreams a reality.